I'm going to show you how to make a habit tracker for free using Airtable that will actually allow you to track the habits of multiple people, not just one person. The last video I made just like this, you guys loved, and it's probably one of the highest performing video actually on this channel at the moment, and that would be this one, which is habit tracking using Google Sheets and Google Forms. This is super, super effective if you have just one person that you're tracking habits for. But what if you are doing a coaching program and you're managing a bunch of people's habits? Or what if you want to have an accountability group with some friends? How do you manage all your habits and view everything all in one spot? We are going to be using Airtable. If you haven't heard of Airtable, it is essentially like Google Sheets on steroids. This is what Airtable looks like. This is the dashboard. You just go to airtable.com, make an account really quickly. It's so easy to get started, and it's pretty intuitive once you start using it. As you can see, I use it for a ton of organization with Social Gravity. We manage a lot of different aspects of the business using Airtable. So go over to airtable.com, get started to follow along with this tutorial. My name is Vic. I'm the founder here at Social Gravity, and our mission is to help entrepreneurs everywhere create freedom in their empire. And if that's you, and you're trying to get your habits in order, then let's get to business. I'm going to jump back over to Airtable, and what I want to do is actually show you, before we get started, what this looks like when it's up and running. This is the Accountability Bros 2021. My friends at the start of the year got together and we said, hey, we're going to actually do an accountability group and we're going to track our habits. And they all knew that I've been tracking habits for a while, so they got me to basically build our habit tracker, or I volunteered to do it. And I thought, instead of using Sheets and Forms from Google, I'm going to use Airtable because it's actually much more organized and much more integrated, and it's the only tool that I'm going to need to use. I actually don't need to use any other external tools here. Let's look at exactly how this thing is organized. So we're looking at a data feed of my friend Graham, and you can see the habit date and some of his habits. So, no pop, he's been killing it. And then he added no fast food about halfway through, and, tracking some documents, some photo proof of taking his weight down. You can also see my friend Lewis doing a very good job of using the documentation tab to actually prove his miles of running or his kilometers of running here by adding documents into this, tracking his weight, adding notes, checking boxes. I mean, Airtable is robust and it's compact and it is effective and just wow. So that's why we're using Airtable to do this. But you'll notice that every single person has their own tab. Now in Airtable, these tabs are called tables. So everyone has their own table. I have my own table here. This is my habit tracking. You can see here, I picked up Italian at the end of January, and I've just been grinding. But there are a couple pages here. So you have the data feed, which is what we've been looking at so far. You also have the events feed on a calendar. So what this allows us to do is actually look at individual dates really easily and see any gaps that might have occurred. So we have a gap here. I'll probably have to go back and fix that because I'm trying to track every single day of my meditation. But if I click on this and I hit expand record, this record is all the data that was from that day. Okay, so I did physical activity as a checkbox. I didn't do weight. I didn't track my weight or body fat, but I did work out, and here's proof. Me in my garage lifting weights, right? So you're able to actually compact a lot of different data types, even notes, meditated minutes, check boxes, numbers, so much stuff right here, all on Airtable with no outside applications. The last part of this that ties it all together is the habit form, okay? So at the end of all this, once we built it, all you'll have to do is give your partners or your clients or whoever you're working with to intake their habits this form, and they can embed it on their desktop. They can make it a bookmark on their browser. What I prefer to do is actually make it an icon on my home screen on my phone. So when I'm plugging my phone in at night, I can just go in at that moment and stack that habit with plugging my phone in and, display what habits I did for that day and do it just when I go to bed, every night when I go to bed, make that a little mini habit in itself. So let's actually go back into Airtable and let's start from scratch. Let's build out exactly what we're going to do here. Now in Airtable, this is the dashboard. I'm going to hit add a new base. Okay, so each Airtable file or each document is actually called a base in Airtable. So they have their own terminology. So you have a base. We're going to start from scratch. Once I click that, it's going to prompt you start from scratch here. And what I'm going to call it is accountability tracker. We'll just call it that. I can change the color. I can change the icon for my dashboard purposes, just to keep myself organized if I wanted to. So accountability tracker, it's purple, it's got a check mark. Cool, we're good to go. Like I said before, the table, which is this here, table 1, that's actually going to be a person. So the first thing I'm going to do is double click that and call it Vic, because I'm Vic and this is my table now. Okay, so we have a few different columns here, and you'll notice the names of them are a little weird. I mean, notes here with a long text, attachments with a little box, status with a drop down, name. This is very different than Excel in a sense where I'm just going to actually make it a little bigger for you. It's very different in Excel because Excel will just have, nothing, and it'll just be a grid. But in Airtable, if you're new to Airtable, each one of these columns actually is going to be able to have a different type of cell. And altogether, this row is actually called a record. And it combines all the information into one record where we can see the information. I'm going to go back over to my accountability bros and I'll show you what I mean by that just to clear up that confusion. If I click on that, and I kind of showed you this before, but this is a record and it's all the data compiled into one little card, and you can just see it and acknowledge it and be organized in that way. So it's going to create a record in a row. Now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and start building. The first thing we're going to want to do in our column is actually turn the column into a date, not a name. We're not going to have our name here. We're not going to have the habit that we did here. The first thing we need to track is what day is this happening. So we're going to double click where it says name, and we're going to change it to date. And then where it says single line text, we're going to click that. And this is going to give us the different options for our cell. And we're going to pick date. Now, if you're in this first column in Airtable, you'll notice that there are actually limited options compared to the rest of them, but date is in those options, and that's what we're going to be using here. So save the date. Now we've changed that first column to date. The next thing I want to do is add a checkbox habit. This is a habit that you just have to do. We're not measuring a value. You're not saying how much you weighed today or how much you ran today. We're just saying, yes, I did it. So we're actually going to use the checkbox tool to do that. So I'm going to double click where it says notes, and this will be where my first habit goes. And for me, meditation is my daily habit. I've done it for over 2 years, every single day. So I'm going to go meditation and click long text. You get a drop down box. And you're going to see here we have so many different options of what this field could be. But we are simply going to click checkbox and hit save. Now that just turned this entire column into a checkbox column, and yeah, it's just beautiful. You'll notice at the bottom it's going to say summary. We can click that and we can go checked, and now this will actually sum up all of the checkboxes just like that. So we're going to do that right away and uncheck these for organizational purposes. So the next thing I want to kind of show you how to do, and it's actually just already built into this form, which is really nice, is the attachments. Attaching a document, which can definitely come in handy, especially if you need some sort of proof element in your coaching program. This is where that would come into play. And again, it's all integrated into Airtable. So we already actually have the attachments field here by default in our empty table or empty base. It's just going to give us it. So we're going to double click and change the name to documentation. We're actually going to leave it as an attachments field, but we're going to drag it so I can grab it and drag it to the end. Okay, so drag it to the end. We're going to want that at the end there. Another method of tracking habits is numerical. So like I just mentioned, how many kilometers, how much do you weigh? we actually want to track a number there, right? And it's not text, it's numerical. And we actually have that ability in Airtable. So I'll double click where it says status and I will put weight. Now, this can be whatever you need it to be, but weight's a very good example for a number. So I'll scroll down a bit when I click on the field type and I will go to number. And we can change the decimal place if we want integer. I want decimals for my weight. And then precision, I'll just do just one placeholder. Now we have a weight column. Awesome. A documentation column. And the last column that I'm going to show you to do is one that I think that you need to have. And this would be a long text column. That's called notes. And this is going to allow you to just, if you have any notes, something happened that day, what did you work out? This is really going to be a good thing to have. So this is a pretty good base for our habit tracker so far, at least for my end of things. You can go in and if you hit plus, you're going to create a new column. You can go in and explore all the different things that you want to do here. You can have single select, multiple select, long text, single text. If you're new to Airtable, definitely explore this stuff because you can have currency if you're trying to save money. You can have a rating out of 5 stars if you're trying to track your happiness. There's a lot of different things that you can do here. So definitely explore that. But now that we have our kind of framework for our data page here, we want to create a new view in our table. So we're going to stay in the Vic table. We're not done here yet. I'm just going to double click this grid view and I'm going to change the name to Vic's data. Perfect. And I want to create a form view. Now, make sure that you have your data view done before you do the form view because it's actually going to save you a little bit of time to do it that way. Because when we create the form view, just hit boom, create, it's automatically going to generate our form based on all of the areas that we have. I'll show you a little better here because I'm in the way. So form, date, meditation, weight, documentation, and notes. This is our form, and we didn't really build it. We just filled in the data, right? So this form is going to be very important for us. What I'm going to do is just change the name, Vic's habits, sure. And then we'll change this description, intake of daily habit data. Great. Looking great so far. Now, this form is very important because, again, this is where you're going to be inputting your data. So once you have this done, what you can do is you can go to open form right here by clicking this button. And now you have the link to your form to use it on any device you need to. If you need to learn how to make a home screen on your device, your phone, just Google it. Every phone is different, but you can do it on basically every phone. If you want to add it to your browser as a bookmark, that's a great way to do it too. Just save that link. You can find it in your habit tracker, however. The last thing that I want to do is now create a view for calendar. And the reason that I'm doing this is because it gives me a very easy view of my records at any point. So I did kind of show you exactly why. We click on it here and then we can expand the record. This is essentially why we want to create the calendar view. Very easy to create it. Just go down to create a view right in our base and our table. Hit calendar. And then if I show you again, I'm just going to delete this one. Oh, delete view. You can delete the view right up here. So clicking the 3 dots, delete view. If I hit calendar, it's going to prompt me and it's going to say using date field. Which date field do you need to use? And like I said, we actually have our first column is a date. That's exactly why we did it, because it's going to by default know exactly where to go and hit done. And that's it. That's all you have to do. It's so easy. Now we have the main table built. So that is if I was just tracking my own habits. And you guessed it. All I have to do at this point is essentially go to this little arrow and we want to duplicate the table and not the records. So don't duplicate records or that's going to take over all my data. So we're going to duplicate the table and it's going to create Vic copy. I'll click that again, rename, and we'll put in a friend of mine, Lewis. Lewis is next. And then we can go in, adjust any habits that we have to here. And then we can generate a new form link here by clicking open form. This will be a brand new link. You can see there's a difference between that link and this link here. And that allows us to now give Lewis his habit form. And essentially, at the end of the day, we're going to have something super clean, a nice feed of data. Here, I'll just zoom out so you can see it all. A nice feed of data. When did I work out? When did I learn Italian? How long did I meditate for? If we go back over to Graham, he's just crushing it. And we can just see at a bird's eye view, Lewis is just crushing it at a bird's eye view. And it gives us so much insight as to what's going on. And the last thing that I'm just going to show you really quickly is at the bottom here, we can leverage the columns here to actually auto sum or auto average whatever we want. I'll show you really quickly. Is just by clicking this bottom button here, and then we will have these different options. So checked, unchecked, if we wanted to know the reverse, how many did you not check? The percentage checked. So I'll go percentage check because that's pretty interesting. So 73% of days, Lewis is working out. That's incredible. Also, how many workouts has he done since the start of the year? 28. That's amazing just to see that at one point with one click of a button. There's really no better alternative than using Airtable for a group tracking purpose, whether again it's your coaching program or accountability group with the boys. Airtable's the way to go, and I just showed you exactly how to do it. My name is Vic. I'm the founder of Social Gravity, and thank you so much for watching. If you have not done it yet, subscribe to the channel. Going to be putting out more videos, some more solid content for you. Okay? Have a great day. See ya.